Good morning. It's me again. I'm still doing these videos every day, and I love it. I just want to remind you all why I'm doing this. I think I'm going to do this until I get a job that fulfills me, or until YouTube starts paying me, or until it starts making a difference. And so that's what I'm going to do, because I just feel the need to put positive energy out into the world. Okay, today I want to talk about fluoride in a physiological perspective and what it does inside your body, but also how you can get fluoride into your body different ways that you may not know. We're going to focus on just how it affects the endocrine system, and the endocrine system is, like, say your body is a pyramid with the brain at the top. The endocrine system is pretty close. It's composed of your thyroid and your pancreas and your parathyroid and your pineal gland. I know conspiracy theorists have heard about fluoride and how it affects your pineal gland. But what do these glands do? Do you know what they do? So if fluoride goes in and affects these glands, then how does that affect us? How do we get fluoride in our body? Can we have not enough or too much? You know, is this really just poison even if you get a small amount? Well, no. If you get a small amount, yeah, it's naturally occurring. Now, there is no biological metabolic reaction that requires fluoride. I learned that in metabolism. So we do not need fluoride. We would be just fine if there were zero fluoride. So do keep that in mind. But of course, there's arsenic and other trace minerals that are around too. Now, arsenic, ironically enough, without any arsenic, that would actually inhibit some reactions that require, I think, cell division or something like that. So, you know, that's something to think about, but we don't need any fluoride, okay? But it's not going to immediately kill you if you have a little bit of fluoride. But I am not a fan of water fluoridation. I'm not a fan of fluoridated pesticides and fluoridated pharmaceuticals and fluoridated lots of things. And I think what happened is that our government got the go that it wasn't poison, and then they kind of went overboard and started adding it to everything, and now it is becoming our poison. This is my personal opinion. If you want me to not get arrested for giving my personal opinion about health, then go to my other video and click on the link to help the Health Freedom Act so that people like me can speak freely according to the First Amendment. Okay, so how do you get fluoride? Well, pesticides are a big way to do it. The EPA actually finally came out like last year, maybe even 2 years ago, and stated that, hey, there's too much fluoride in the environment. And so they started saying stuff to the people with the pesticides because it was on everything. Even some organic food has fluoride on it, like the grapes from California. They're using cryolite. Apparently some of these wineries and people that sell grapes and cryolite contains fluoride. It's in sardines, it's in tea, so especially non-organic tea, because it's got natural fluoride in it and then they spray fluoride on top of it. So tea is kind of something that has a lot of fluoride. And some places that you may not realize have fluoride, and I want you to think about this, your air conditioner, okay? Your air conditioner, that closed circuit that's never supposed to leak, but sometimes it does, so don't even front, okay? Sometimes it leaks. It has fluoride in it. Now, it used to have chlorofluorocarbons back in, like, what, the 90s? Chlorofluoro, it had a chlorine and a fluorine on this long carbon, and it reduced the atmosphere, so they banned that, and now they have, like, R22 and R114A. Well, my husband, when he finally did get a job, it was because our neighbor's husband was a manager, and we, like, basically begged him. He knew how destitute we were because no one would hire us, and then he hired me. He hired my husband because we were friends, and he, like, went on a limb to even do that because his boss was like, no, blah, blah, blah. So finally he did, and he learned about these air conditioning systems. And so what's inside now, R14A is pentafluoroethane and difluoromethane. Fluoride. A one carbon chain with, like, a 2 carbon chain with, like, 5 fluorides on it, and a 1 carbon chain with, like, 2 fluorides on it. Okay, that's what these things are. And if that air conditioner is leaking into your house and you never open your windows, you're inhaling fluoride gas. Okay? Now, fluoride gas, the funny thing about inhaling as a route of being intoxicated with something it goes straight to your brain. So if you're inhaling fluoride, that's going to be really bad for your brain. Once again, if you don't want me to go to jail for saying this, click on my other video and help out the Health Freedom Act by writing your congressman. So one other point about fluoride before I continue with the physiological effects. Portland, Oregon, which is this cool town that I really want to visit, especially after that show Portlandia, and because I am kind of a hippie myself, they just put up a phenomenal fight to try to stop their water from being fluoridated. And so go Portland. Congratulations on trying to make a difference in the world. Unfortunately, despite their signs, public water, public vote, despite them going to the meetings and voicing their word, they didn't get a real say. The council voted and it passed. And it was the public safety guy or whatever that passed this and yada, yada, yada. Here's what I have to say about that. I'm a libertarian. I don't think it's the government's job to tell us what we need to prevent cavities at all. Don't think that. So whether they have a high cavity amount or whatever, it's not up to the government to tell them, it's not up to the government to tell them we're going to save you from your cavities. When are people going to realize that it's sugar that causes cavities? It's not a lack of fluoride. Remember when I said our biology requires no fluoride? There is no known mechanism that requires fluoride. Fluoride gets in and blocks other mechanisms that are supposed to happen. It'll do that, but it doesn't have its own mechanism. So if anything, it's just that's what my next point is. It is an endocrine disruptor. According to, and I looked up two main articles. I looked up Linus Pauling Institute and their one web page on fluoride published in 2001. They might want to update that. Lots of research since then. But I think they kind of, from my perspective, they were studying adverse effects and upper limits and stuff as if it's like a vitamin. But remember what I said, there's no reaction that requires fluoride. So I don't think it needs to be studied like a vitamin. I think it needs to be studied as a trace mineral when it's in its salt form. And if it's not required, it doesn't need to be added. But I also looked up the Fluoride Action Network. And so according to the Fluoride Action Network, they are citing the National Research Council, which is going to be pretty good. Government-funded, I believe, organization. So this is according to the government, okay, the one that approved the fluoride. Oh my gosh, I owe the National Research Council a huge apology. They are not a publicly funded institution. They are a private, non-profit organization, along with the Institute of Medicine, the National Academy of Sciences. I'm sorry, NRC, but I will make it up to you. I'm going to be visiting this website a lot more often. They pride themselves on their objectivity. Maybe I found my job. Maybe it'll be for the National Research Council. My husband said I would be good at meta-analysis. Although, talking sometimes, I don't know what I'm talking about. 2006, they said this, okay? Evidence of several types indicates that fluoride affects normal endocrine function or response. The effects of the fluoride-induced changes vary in degree and kind in different individuals. Fluoride is therefore an endocrine disruptor in the broad sense of altering normal endocrine function or response. So I'm not just saying this. The National Research Council 6 years ago said this, okay? So it's an endocrine disruptor. So back to the endocrine system is made up these 4 glands. Okay. First, there's our thyroid gland. It's right about here. Fluoride has been shown to slow the thyroid down. It's actually been used to treat people with hyperthyroidism. People that are skinny and their thyroid works too fast, fluoride's treated that. In rats, the rat studies and stuff, it slows your thyroid down, okay? It does that by a couple mechanisms. Iodine stimulates your thyroid, and fluoride is on that same, let me go backwards for you. That same row at the end, like fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, all of those are similar halides, and they all kind of just compete with each other because they're so similar. So if you have fluoride, then the iodine leaves your thyroid, okay? Then there's your pancreas. Your pancreas is involved with insulin production, and what's been shown with fluoride is that it can increase the blood glucose and lead to a diagnosis in diabetes. Now, they're not exactly sure why that can happen, but what they're saying is that they think it's because of an increase in insulin resistance. So that makes sense to me, because what fluoride does in your thyroid is it goes in and it blocks iodine, so the iodine can't come in and stimulate it. It's probably blocking the receptors that the insulin needs to get through. So like I said, there's no known chemical reaction need for fluoride in your body. So what is it going to do? It's going to go in and gunk up other reactions. That's basically what's happening. Then there's your pineal gland. And I know all you guys are like, oh, what does the pineal gland do? Well, it's ironic. The pineal gland actually regulates your sleep cycle for your whole life. But before that, it regulates the onset of puberty. Okay? And what they've shown is that people with animals, which we're animals too, by the way. We differ in very few genes from a lot of animals, by the way. That people who have a high fluoride induction, whatever, have been shown, animals, again, I said people. Animals. If you don't want me to go to jail for accidentally saying people instead of animals, then please go to that other video and click on the link to help the Health Freedom Act so that I can have free speech. Animals, it messes up their sleep so that their circadian rhythm is all off when they get too much fluoride, okay? And also, they hit early puberty, so early puberty, okay? And then last but not least, the parathyroid. So here's your thyroid. The parathyroid glands are on the sides of the thyroid gland, and it regulates blood calcium, okay? And what it does is it takes calcium from your bones and puts it into your blood whenever you have low blood calcium. Well, fluoride apparently has been shown to lower the blood calcium and cause the parathyroid to go into this bone thing where it like sucks the calcium out of your bones. That's where the whole brittle bone thing comes into play. You get too much. So now it's different than skeletal fluorosis. Skeletal fluorosis is when you have like a lower dose of fluoride over a long period of time. It doesn't necessarily eat away at your bones, but it ends up getting deposited on the surface. That would actually make you like glow in an x-ray, by the way, if you have skeletal fluorosis. Okay, yeah, glow. But brittle bone is from hyperparathyroidism. And yes, fluoride has been shown to do that as well. So I have been putting, just me personally, I try to avoid fluoride. I had a reverse osmosis filter when we lived in a fluoridated city water area. Now we have well water, so we just have a pure filter on there, just in case there's some giardia or maybe arsenic, which can come from well water. Cryptosporidium, those are two parasites. So you still want to filter well water, but it's not as hard. Carbon filter, just fine. That's what I personally do. I'm not giving you any health advice. Okay, so maca is this really cool root that grows in where the Incans live. Where is that? Andean societies. Doesn't it sound romantic? There's some plant sterols in here that haven't been synthetically replicated and patented in a lab yet. It's probably only a matter of time. But yeah, these plant sterols have been shown to support the endocrine system. A lot of women take maca root, it's weird, according to like internet rumor, to balance their female hormones too. Because your endocrine, you know, it can affect that. It's not your sex hormone, but that's I think your exocrine, your adrenal. That's your sex hormones. Your gonads and your adrenals make your sex hormones. So it's not part of your endocrine system. But that's what I've been doing, is just putting a teaspoon of this in my smoothie in the morning. And you know what I noticed, being really perpetually flat-chested, is that I've had sore breasts since taking this. So I'm not recommending anyone take this. I'm experimenting on myself as usual, so maybe you can reap the knowledge and benefits from that. It's all about how it affects us personally, right? I mean, fluoride, if it's naturally in some tea and you drink tea once a day, you'll probably be fine. But when it's added to your water and it's added to the medicine and it's added to the pesticides and the fertilizers, and I don't even know what else. Then, oh, your wine and your beer and your fruit. Anyway, speaking of my healthy smoothie. Then you get too much, and you gotta balance it out. And I have another video where I talk about my smoothie, and I'm going to post it soon, and it's going to talk about what I do to try to prevent my skeleton from glowing in an x-ray. Have a nice day!